Thank you for joining us for another part in a series of educational sessions featuring ideas on maximizing the potential of custom frame shops, and they're sponsored by the TrueView Glazing Company. I'm Ken Bauer, president of KB Consulting, a company dedicated to helping small businesses maximize profits, and today we're going to explore the challenges the custom framing industry has experienced in the past year. We'll also look at the opportunities that resulted from the changes the pandemic forced on our world. In this presentation, we'll take a look at what happened in our industry this past year, what our current conditions look like, and what the keys are to sustaining some of the positive results our industry is seeing today. As we all know, 2020 brought challenges and changes for every person and business that no one could have prepared for, including mandated shutdowns where non-essential businesses were forced to close to help stop the spread of the virus. In many areas of the country, these interruptions lasted several weeks and occurred more than once. The government reacted to this by making forgivable Paycheck Protection loans available to qualifying businesses so that business owners could continue to pay employees during closures. In addition to learning about loans and loan forgivenesses, shop owners had to quickly learn about new safety protocols before they could reopen their businesses to the public. Companies had to find ways to deliver products to their customers with minimal personal interaction. Looking back on what had to be accomplished in a very short time really emphasizes the challenges business owners faced in 2020. As we learn more about conducting business under these conditions, the pace of adjustment has begun to slow. It is still far from business as normal, but we've learned a lot about the ways to keep customers safe and still supply what they need. As the public learned to adjust by staying home much more during these times, an interesting change happened in the custom framing industry and many other industries that supply home improvement products. A surge in demand occurred as customers were forced to spend more time at home, using much of that time to improve their living spaces. Industry sales growth happened quickly and to levels of demand most shop owners had not experienced since the recession of 2008. We learned that the custom framing industry is still relevant and important. The new surge in demand is fantastic, but since most of us did not see it coming, it proved to be a very difficult adjustment. Anytime demand soars quickly, it places challenges on meeting that demand, and that is true in normal times. Add in the challenges of a worldwide pandemic, and those challenges become very difficult to overcome. Supply issues for materials to produce framing projects were one huge hurdle as manufacturers and distributors also face mandated closures and different restrictions depending on location. Imported products slowed to a standstill and made it very difficult for shop owners to get materials their customers needed. As we move into 2021, supplies are improving, but they are often more expensive, especially if they need to be shipped to the stores. Sharply increased demand also created production challenges for shops as workloads often exceeded staffing productivity capabilities. Coupled with supply challenges, the increased workload made it difficult for shops to meet normal turnaround of projects. And that was because most production staffing was set to produce for pre-COVID demand, and many shops lost employees during the mandated shutdowns. I'm sure many of you could add to that list of unprecedented challenges faced during this time. In the beginning, as every business reopened and entered a period of adjustment, shoppers understood that it wasn't possible for businesses to operate as efficiently as before. They were tolerant of new conditions for buying products and waited for them to be delivered. But as time goes on, the industry will need to quickly adjust if it wants to maintain this increased demand. So our industry must make the most of the favorable condition that exists today. Public tolerance for slow turnaround or limited shop hours will diminish quickly. As times return to normal, so will the expectations of consumers. The question many ask is, will demand continue as more people leave their homes and return to the workplace, have more options for socializing, and views of the world shift from their homes to public spaces? While demand for residential custom framing may have hit a peak, it's unlikely to return to pre-COVID levels quickly, since many homeowners have rediscovered the benefits of great home decor. Sales for commercial framing accounts were reduced for most locations as businesses left their work environments and moved operations to the homes of their staff. As the workplace becomes a focus again, commercial framing will offer more opportunity, something that savvy shop owners are already setting their sights on. As many of us who have been in the custom framing industry for decades know, it has been a struggle to grow our industry back to the level of business that we once saw in the early 2000s. The number of frame shops have been drastically reduced, and the average sales volume of the remaining shops had dropped until now. This unexpected resurgence in our industry offers new potential for our future, but it will not happen without the proper response to these new demands. Meeting the expectations of today's customer means understanding what customers expect in today's fast-paced world. Yes, we create a custom product that is designed to the specifications demanded by each customer. But since these types of purchases are rare today, most consumers will expect and ultimately demand a reasonable completion time on orders they place. Turnaround of projects cannot go beyond 2 weeks in shops hoping to capture the true potential of this increased demand. As customers adjusted to new shopping restrictions, they were more tolerant of lines and slow shopping conditions. But that attitude is already beginning to evaporate as the economy returns to more normal conditions. And as the world returns to more normal, increased options for spending money mean that discretionary expenditures will become more competitive again. Industries that make it difficult for customers to receive what they want will lose the interest of those customers. Although stock availability is still an issue, it is improving each week, and so should our ability to complete projects in a timely manner. It is vital that shops adhere to the due dates of projects and keep the promises given at the time the order was placed. To help meet project deadlines, it might be necessary to stock more length molding options or to use the labor suppliers offer by maybe ordering frames joined. Even though some of these practices cost more, the main priority is to meet the new demand we see in our industry. Understanding the maximum workload your shop can produce each week can help you create more realistic due dates. It can also help you understand when it's time to increase your staffing. In our last presentation, we learned about how to charge for our time. We talked about conducting time studies for the various tasks involved in completing a project. You can find this video on TrueView's YouTube channel. If you understand how long it takes each part of a project to be completed, and you know how many hours you have in production staffing, you will be able to determine if you have the staffing necessary to complete your weekly workload. Managing workload by task type is much different than managing it by the number of projects needed to be completed. This is because projects can vary widely in the time they take to complete. But if you know how long it takes your team to cut and join a frame, cut mats, stretch a canvas, or complete a fitting, then you can calculate your workload by counting how many of each of these tasks you need to complete each week and comparing the total task times to the number of staffing hours you have. Doing this lets you know before the week begins if you will need more help or if the workload will be accomplished without additional hours needed to be adding to staffing. When workload is higher than staffing hours can continually produce, it's time to add staffing. Many shops dread adding and training new staff members, but the alternative is to ultimately lose customers because you cannot serve them properly. If we are to sustain the new demands of our industry, We must be prepared to know when additional staffing is needed and how to train properly. Remember that new staff members can be trained selectively. They do not need to be proficient in all areas at once. Find the tasks in your shop where demand exceeds staffing and train in those areas only. Then, as time permits, you can add more areas of training to these new members of your company. Finally, one of the most important things needed to sustain and grow the revived demand in our industry is to market our businesses aggressively. It's a sure death move to say that you are too busy to cultivate more customers. William Wrigley was the man who made Wrigley and gum become synonymous. His success came through nonstop aggressive marketing of his product, and he said, I market for the same reason a pilot keeps his engines running once he's off the ground. Without engines, that plane will keep losing altitude and eventually crash. The same is true with advertising. It needs to keep going to stay effective. Busy times are here for our industry, and they offer the opportunity to reach more customers than ever. Build future business by asking your customers to join your company's subscriber list. Doing so will allow you to continue communication with your customers by publishing and emailing a monthly newsletter or blog. Include social media posts, and you will continue to engage your customer base and build future business. TrueView has created a great number of helpful videos and educational material which can help you make the changes you might need to maximize the opportunities created by increased customer demand. You can find these resources on the TrueView website and their YouTube channel. Because it's very difficult to find time to create the right content for blogs, newsletter, and social media, KB Consulting created the Instant Marketing Program several years ago. Now, for a small monthly fee, you can have your newsletter and social media posts formatted and sent directly to you each month so that you can have a marketing program up and running instantly when it matters most. Consistent, client-focused content must be a priority during these busy times if we are to maintain this growth opportunity. If you would like to learn more about this program, email me at the address listed at the end of the presentation. To summarize, the custom framing industry has experienced new levels of unprecedented growth due to home confinement. As the world begins to return to more normal times, we must overcome the hurdles of supply problems, understaffing, and the lack of time needed to create consistent marketing. If we meet the challenges we face today, the future looks strong for all of us. Grab this opportunity and enjoy the benefits as we grow our industry. I encourage you to explore the great resources contained in TrueView's website and YouTube channel. If you have questions about the KB Instant Marketing Program, feel free to contact me using this email address. Once again, a big thank you to TrueView for helping to make this information available to the framing industry. Their contributions make it possible for shops to learn and grow, and the opportunities for growth in our industry have never been better. I hope this presentation helps you maximize the unique opportunities suddenly available to our industry. Thank you for watching.